Hello and welcome to Animated Wonders, an Explosion Network podcast where we celebrate animation in all of its forms. This is Animated Wonders. In this season, we'll be discussing all the films in the Toy Story franchise. Hello, my name is Blight. Joining me to discuss this animated wonder is Ashley Hobley.
And I'm excited to be here to talk about death.
I mean, yes, we're here to talk about Toy Story 3. The classic children's film about life ending. Toy Story 3, released in 2010, comes from the United States, directed by Lee Unkrich, written by Michael Arndt, John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Lee Unkrich, of course made by Pixar, and published by, or distributed by Walt Disney. Main cast, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, Don Rickles, Wallace Shawn, John Ratzenberger, Estelle Harris, Ned Beatty, Michael Keaton, Jodie Benson, and John Morris. The synopsis of the film was: the toys are mistakenly delivered to a daycare center instead of the attic right before Andy leaves for college, and it's up to Woody to convince the other toys they weren't abandoned and to return home. Of course, it's not our first time watching it, but Ash, what was your thoughts this time watching Toy Story 3?
This is one that I've watched a lot, and because my little brother was about that 5, 6, 7
when it came out,
age when it came out. So, audio viewers, he did the 6, 7 thing. So yeah, we got this one on DVD and watched it frequently. Which was always interesting because my little brother would tear up at the end of this movie every single time. I mean, no matter how many times you watched it, you got, visibly upset at the end of the movie. And which is interesting because I feel like this movie is designed to hit people like our age harder.
The people who grew up with when they were kids when they watched the first one.
Yeah. Who
grew up
with toys and age-wise, yes. Because it is a story about letting go, a story about watching, again, bringing this parentage idea of toys being de facto parents, like letting your kid go off and make their way in the world, and like you're not having any control over them anymore. That kind of story, I think it's so beautifully written. All the characters are really great. It's again, watching these movies back to back, seeing the jump this time of the animation, of 15 years, I think.
Yeah,
difference almost in animation technology between the two films.
Toy Story 2, 1999. So yeah, 11
years. Yeah, such a huge jump in what they're able to achieve visually, and then just being weirdly turning into a Great Escape film in the middle. Everybody kind of gets this awesome payoff. I think it's a fantastic movie.
I see the odd thing with that, for everything you just said, I really like the movie, but I've never had a huge emotional attachment to this one.
Okay.
I don't know. And the way I've sort of thought about it is, I don't think when I watched this, and I watched it in the cinemas, and then I would have watched it at home on DVD, I'm sure, as well, after that. But I think maybe at the age I would have been, so I would have been what? 2010 makes me, what, 18? Yeah. No. Yes? Maths. I honestly feel like potentially the age I was when I watched it, being at that, potentially where my head was, I don't think understood the context, or was not at a stage in my life where I was thinking about context, and also just didn't, I don't think I got any of the subtext, and even if I did, it didn't resonate for me for whatever reason when I watched this for the first time. I think I was just my age. Potentially, if I was, you're a few years older than me, so maybe that helped. But I was right in the teen just hitting fucking I can buy alcohol level.
It's all about the plot and like no deeper story.
Yeah. So I've never had a huge attachment to this one, and I know everyone obviously talks about the ending. Everyone always talks about the darkness level of it for a kids movie, which I also want to get your thoughts on in a second. But yeah, I think out of the rewatch, it's still like when we get at this stage, it's just thinking about 1 and 2. I have such a big attachment to those, watching those when I was actually a kid compared to this one. I think, but rewatching it for this now, I'm a lot more open, and to obviously I'm a lot more film literate, or I don't know, like able to take to take in these things in. So I think I enjoyed it a lot more, but I still think there's an element to this where, and I don't know, we've still got one more movie to talk about, but I honestly, as shocking as it is, would be putting this like as my least favorite, solely because from a just emotional point of view, I just have such a disattachment to it compared to the rest.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Because arguably, and this is the best one.
Yeah, I know this is the one that this is the best one, yeah.
This is like, it is one of only 3 movies to ever be nominated, animated films to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, like, it's a fantastic movie. I'm just talking solely from a ranking them in, like, importance to my life or how I resonate with them. This one's just at the bottom, I believe. I don't know. As I said, we got Toy Story 4 to go, but and then 5, I guess. But yeah, crazy. It's just so different. So then I find it so interesting that even your younger brother resonates so much to it without the years of context in leading up, and then obviously you resonate a lot more with it. And I do think that's possibly just because of the being a few years older. Maybe, I don't know. Or I guess you actually no. Maybe it's just because
you just don't.
Well, also no, because you've got I was watching it with my little brother, like sort of thing.
Yeah, that too.
My brother's only 2 years younger than me. I mean, I was watching this. We're both still, teenagers watching this. I don't have I was watching it with a younger brother element.
Maybe there's that element of me already at that time, like passing my things on to him, like my childhood things and his childhood things. Like, and there is an element is like. At that time, he was like falling in love with like that generation's worth of Ninja Turtles, which was a big thing in my childhood. It's like, So again, like the parentage element of it is like, because I'm like almost 18 years older than my little brother, I think. I think that becomes part of the emotional story of these films, which is probably why they were so beloved by adults as well as children, because there was always some element of. There is an element of like adult storytelling within. It's not just child slop.
Yeah. Well, that's the Toy Story.
That's the secret sauce.
Story.
The Pixar secret sauce.
Yeah, Pixar secret sauce, definitely. Core themes for this one had down growing up and having to let go and transitioning to a new stage of life. Because that is the whole thing. I mean, the movie is literally about Woody having to let go of Andy and that ability by the time you get to the end of the movie for him to transition into being with Bonnie and what that all means for him. But also then you counterplay that with the fact that you've got Andy like letting go of the toys, letting go of living at home, the big American thing of transitioning to pretty much once you go to college there, you're sort of you're transitioning to adulthood and that sort of element. So I think like all of that goes in hand, and then with what you're saying, obviously with the toys are sort of a sit-in for the parents in these films. In regard to Andy, it's the parents having to transition and understand life without their kid there, which is what Woody has to do. He's the parent having to let go of the kid. However, if you're a real adult, you usually don't then just go and not adopt another child straight away, which you can if you want, but that's not usually what most people do.
No, you adopt a dog. That's what happens when your kids move away. You become a cat person.
Yeah. I mean, we just touched on a lot of that already, but did you have any thoughts on, I guess, the core themes?
Yeah, I think, obviously, I think we nailed it.
Nailed it in one.
Nailed it in one. Maybe there's an element of, believing the grass is greener somewhere else, because they believe, we're going to go to this place where there's a bunch of kids we'll get played with all the time. And that turns out to be the worst possible situation for everybody kind of involved. I think the story of Lotso in this film is really interesting as well. This is this character who's believed they've been abandoned, and replaced, and then kind of takes that guttural hatred and spreads it across the world. Getting other toys on board with his idea of hate and subjugation. Because Baby wasn't abandoned. Baby wasn't replaced. Yet he's indoctrinated Baby into believing he was discarded and hated and all that kind of stuff. So like this authoritarian rise of Lotso within this preschool, I think, is this really interesting villain arc or story or background, at least, to include in this story.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a Trump supporter, I guess.
I mean, did Trump base his ideas on Lotso? I don't know.
Yeah, that's up to you, hey.
Putting a bunch of people in cages.
Yeah.
Bought mass surveillance. Making a certain group of people do stuff he doesn't want. I don't know.
Outsiders are bad.
Outsiders are bad, yeah. Everybody needs to pay their dues.
Yeah, pay their dues. Some people need to stay on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
Stealing our jobs.
Yeah, stealing our jobs. If they take our jobs, we'll have to go to the butterfly room. We don't want to go to the butterfly room.
Yeah, we don't want to go to the butterfly room. No, we want to stay in the 1%.
Yeah.
See, it all makes sense now, really. The film was really ahead of its time.
Yeah.
I don't know, as I said before, to put a pin in it, but yeah, very scary kids film. That was another big standout discussion point from when it released and until this day. I think just the what do you call it? The escalator sequence? Or is that what it sort of is? I mean, the trash thing. Like, there's several sequences of characters dying or seeming to die or about to die or pretty much
the end.
Yeah, this is the end of life. Attacked with pickaxes. There's all sorts of. It's a dark movie at times. This one. What have you always thought about that? Because I know that even the ratings. I think there was I found I was looking for this. Apparently, they regretted rating it. What they would have wanted to actually make it PG instead of G or something like that for more scary things.
I think it's just kind of a throwback to even animated films from our age. There was a period of sanitization of children's movies where you couldn't do anything too frightening or anything because you don't want to scar the kids, you don't want to trigger them. You just want to give them an easy breezy, safe experience. And this was definitely something that was a little bit more challenging and definitely got into harsher themes and that kind of stuff, and put a little bit of fear in the kids, but never too much. But I do think obviously the trash compactor, trash fire scene in the incinerator scene, I think
incinerator scene. That's what
is one of those hard hitting emotional moments that Pixar had been known for up to that point, and they had to kind of we've been doing all these heartbreaking. This is the year after Up comes out.
It's crazy. That's where Bo Peep goes too.
Yeah, we need to up the stakes from that opening of Up to give them this heartbreaking moment. So I think that's what they were trying to do, from a creative standpoint. Also, it's interesting. I never became more clear on this rewatch. That incinerator scene is kind of teased at the start of the film in the Andy play sequence where it looks like they're going to be suddenly destroyed by this giant pork ship laser. And then they suddenly get rescued out of nowhere. But it definitely mirrored that. So I feel like it probably hits a little bit because of like real world elements of history of like there's a little bit of a Holocaust feeling about it. All these family members kind of huddled together as they're about to be pushed into the abyss. So
yeah, well, plastic doesn't go well on fires is the
no, it doesn't.
the moral of the story.
That's interesting because like we've never had a melted toy.
No, I guess because
Yeah.
that's would scare some kids for sure. Someone coming out like bloody Terminator T freaking whatever, liquid Terminator. Like, yeah, that's really what you want to see.
Yep.
The other thing, I actually, the funny thing about this, as far as memories go for me, as I said, I didn't have a big connection, or I don't have like a lot of emotional resonance for it. Watching the opening of the movie, I could think about was the Toy Story 3 PS3 video game. Because although I don't have a huge attachment to the game, I played a lot of the Toy Story 3 video game. I put like 50 hours in to get the platinum, and it's all sent.
I didn't play a lot of it, but I played 50 hours, got the platinum.
Yeah. It was a big game. There was like a lot of side quests and stuff, but it all like takes place in sort of like that desert aspect with the train and everything. Like it all takes place in that sort of make believe world that the opening the game takes. Like that world is where the game's set. So watching the opening of the movie, I was like, PS3 game. That's my connection to this movie. Just thinking about my time spent in the video game rather than the actual anything else that connects to it.
But cool opening, like obviously within Andy's imagination, like kind of again showcasing the animation quality that they can do now. Kind of like setting up what Andy's imagines these play sequences to be. I think really cool opening.
It's like between the opening of 2 and then this, it's just them being like, let's I know most of the movies like in the real world and it's supposed to be realistic, but let's just do a sequence where we can mess around for a bit and do crazy things with these characters and have a bit of fun. All right, wondrous elements. Pick 2 elements of the film that stand out the most to you: animation, visual style, music and sound design, voice performances, world building, emotional impact.
It's got to be animation because it is incredible looking, especially in comparison to the last 2, and then emotional impact because of the way they structured the story of this feeling like the conclusion of this story, even though it inevitably won't be. But this super hard goodbye, especially the fake out, I guess you have of you think it's Woody going to say goodbye to everybody, but it's Andy saying goodbye to everybody, especially Woody. Yeah. So
long, partner. I'm going world building and voice performances. So the world building, I guess, stands out for this one because as far as the Toy Story universe as we know now, this is the one that we go from Andy to Bonnie. So building that and the introduction of a bunch of Bonnie's toys and her character mum and like all that sort of stuff is introduced here, which in retrospect rewatching it, you're like, this is the introduction of the new, because at the end of the day, it's always funny. As soon as I remember when Toy Story 4 was announced, I, like most people, was like, why? Like 3 was the wrap up. It's like 3 is still the wrap up. It's a wrap up of Andy's story within the Toy Story world, and that's sort of the point, I guess, as we move forward. But yeah, and then voice performances, because I do think between having you've got some like Michael Keaton obviously playing terrible Ken. I don't know, arsehole Ken. No, he's just playing Ken. Hey, and then Ned Beatty, Toy Ken, yeah. And Ned Beatty is just standout. Obviously, Ned Beatty, huge name in Hollywood, doing this voice performance here. So I think they're 2 big actors that stand out to me in this one as far as the voice cast goes, especially Ned Beatty. Like him to do the performance, I think always stood out to me. So, what's your favorite scene, sequence, or character?
I mean, it has to be the goodbye at the end. The handover of all the toys that Andy individually gives to Bonnie. I mean, it hits hard. It's beautiful that he gives this like small tribute to each one of these toys. Yeah. Hey, I think, it's, and then to play with them all one last time before he moves off and goes away. It is a beautifully written scene.
Yeah, and it's hard to pick something else, I guess.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah, I'm just going to say the same. I mean, it's the not to, I think this is the first one I'm going to just agree on the same, but yeah, I don't want to purposely pick something else, even if just for the sake of it, when that's the answer. So yeah, even like, because as I said, I don't keep repeating it because it sounds like I hate the movie, but without even having that emotional connection rewatching it, it's just, I think it is like a very well written, just beautiful cap off to the movie and the way it's all put together. So place in animation history, talked about, you already mentioned it as best picture nominee. So I think that's obviously the standout, and where we'll sit forever on many lists of, it's always going to be notable for that. And I don't think there's ever going to be a point where it's not notable for that, because I just think it's always going to be slim pickings that animated films are ever nominated for best picture. So that list is going to be small, and it was always sit on it. But yeah, did you have any other thoughts on its legacy?
Well, I think the other thing is it's a fantastic third movie in the franchise. And last week we mentioned, it's really difficult. At the time, it was really difficult to make a really great sequel. Getting a third one to rival the other two movies and arguably better, I think that's even rarer. So, to still have the juice, that many films in, I think that makes it stand out. I think, I mean, if you put together a animation Hall of Fame, it's 1, 2, and 3 straight in day one.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Animated Wonders. Let us know what you thought of the film on social media at explosionnetwork.com/follow. If you enjoyed the show, you can find more podcasts, reviews, and pop culture coverage over at explosionnetwork.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast and Explosion Network, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Until the next episode, remember that animation is cinema.